What's going on, everyone? Data Report here for datareport.info with today's pandemic update. Starting off, we actually have no new COVID outbreaks to report on today, or at least none that I could find, but I was able to find one COVID positive, and this comes out of Illinois. A Don Harmon, who is the Illinois State Senate president. So he's the Senate president for the state of Illinois. He tested positive for COVID on Tuesday, February 14th, 2023. That's this year. And he is 56 years old. My source of information is NBC Chicago. Did not see any previous cases for him. Also, a new study was out today. New studies suggest people who have been infected from COVID have an increased risk of diabetes. This is a problem, and we've known about this for a while. This is not the first study that's come out on this. COVID can affect many different organs of the body, including the kidney, the pancreas, which in return then affects your body's ability to produce insulin. And if it can't produce the proper amount of insulin, bad sugar cells tend to clog up and, well, you become diabetic. And if you have a family history where diabetes is in the family history, that makes you even more at risk for getting diabetes after a COVID infection. So something to consider. This study has been posted on the site. I have at least 3 sources for it: CBS Los Angeles, JAMA Network, and Cedars-Sinai. All on it. And the actual study itself is in one of these. All right, taking a look at the CDC community transmission map, since we don't have any other news to report on today. How about that? After a busy start to the earlier in the week with COVID news, community transmission map has not changed. It's still 57.08% of the counties in high. Substantial makes up 22.97%. Moderate is 14.9%. And low is 5.6%. Taking a look at the top variants in circulation, XBB.1.5 is still 74.7%, followed by BQ.1.1 at 5.3%. BQ.1 is at 5.1%. XBB is at 1.9%, and CH.1.1 is at 1.3%. Taking a look at Walgreens. We're going to start off here a little differently. We're going to do the national first, but we're going to work our way from the west to the east. And the national positivity is 33.2%. Prior week is 32.9%. Difference of 0.2%. 23,000 total. 23,094 total tests this week. 25,814 last week. Let's start off with California, shall we? California is 34.1% this week. 32.2% last week. That's a difference of 1.9% with slightly less testing. Arizona, 32.8% this week, 28.2% last week. That's a difference of 4.6% with less testing. But look at the chart here. It really is starting to go up. New Mexico, 27.5% this week, 24.3% last week. That's a difference of 3.2% with less testing. Kansas is one of 3 states that we have to watch. First off, as you know, the Super Bowl was just on this past Sunday, and Kansas City did win the Super Bowl. Therefore, not only did they celebrate, they're likely having a Super Bowl victory parade. So, Kansas positivity this week is 36.3%, prior week is 34.6%, difference of 1.6%, and total testing is higher than last week, so we'll have to see if that continues trending up. Let's take a look at Missouri. 33.3% positivity this week, 27% last week, difference of 6.3%. Iowa. What's going on with Iowa? Iowa is now up 9.2% over last week with 29.8% positivity this week, 20.7% last week, and you can see it clear as day on the chart. A quick reversal and going upward with more testing than last week. Not much more, but more testing. 124 tests this week, 121 last week. Let's take a look at Ohio. Ohio is also quickly going up. 35.7% this week, 25.5% positivity last week, 10.2% difference. And testing is down slightly. 468 tests this week, 550 last week. So that's not good to see testing dropping there. But I don't think it would make a difference. Their positivity is really rising. Pennsylvania. Pennsylvania has 31.7% positivity this week, 30.8% last week, a difference of 0.9%. Our positivity in my state is rising, and we have to pay close attention because the Eagles were the other team in the Super Bowl. Eagles, of course, lost, but there were Super Bowl parties everywhere, especially in eastern and southeast Pennsylvania. And we know indoor transmission, most of the parties were indoors. We know indoor transmission does tend to lead to higher cases. How about Vermont? What's going on there? Vermont positivity, 22.2% today. And the prior week was 14.3%. That's a difference of 7.9%. Still rising, but it has pretty much leveled off now. And it's about to start dropping. As a matter of fact, the chart does now show it's starting to drop, so that's some good news. Here's the third state we have to watch. New York State. Current week, 38.8%. Prior week, 40.7%. That's a difference of 1.9%. Total tests this week, 1,006. Last week, 1,209. So the positivity is dropping here on Walgreens, but I'm going to bring something to your attention. First off, the New York State dashboard. 2,626 new cases in the last 24 hours. Today, 3.9% positivity. The 7-day average is 4.4%. Take a look at New York State on a statewide level. Remember I brought to your attention yesterday, it was the first Tuesday since, I believe, January 17th, where we actually saw hospitalizations higher than the following week's end. So back on last week, end of last week's reporting, they had 2,092 hospitalizations. Then we saw it rise yesterday to 2,175. Well, look at today. Both hospitalizations and ICUs are higher once again, with 2,198 people hospitalized and 236 people in the ICU. We can actually take this a step further, and let's take a look at Western New York. Yeah, look at this. So they ended last week at 133 people in the hospital, 11 people in the ICU. Obviously, they were higher yesterday, but look where they're at today. 161 people today with 15 people in the ICU. That's a pretty stark increase, and it's a kind of a concern because we know New York State has a past history of developing new variants. XBB.1.5 originated in New York State. Remember the BA 2.12.2, or was it 2.12.1 from last spring? That originated in the Finger Lakes region and in Western New York. Now, the Finger Lakes region, as of yet, is not really rising, as you can see here. New York City is also not really rising as of yet. However, look at Long Island. Long Island is somewhat starting to rise. One less than yesterday, but again, that is higher than last week, with the biggest increase again being Western New York. So we'll have to watch this. It's been a while since we've seen a new variant form or come into the picture in the United States. It's been about a month and a half, almost 2 months now. So, yeah, this is rather concerning. Alrighty, moving on to Texas. Texas today reported 9,346 new cases. 8,720 were from the previous week. So yes, their cases are slightly higher than the previous week. Texas also reported 136 new fatalities, new deaths in the past week, with 11.91% positivity rate. And taking a look at Texas hospitalizations, remember they were over 1,900 last week, well over, about 1,950 or something like that, and this week they're down to 1,782. So hospitalizations are continuing to drop. That's a good sign. Let's take a look at this week's deaths, shall we? Deaths yesterday for the United States, there were 219 deaths added. That is down from the previous week, so it's good to see it dropping from the winter wave. Total deaths, however, are now at 1,115,077, and there's already been close to 22 to 23,000 deaths this year. So yes, we're still in a pandemic, and the deaths are still ridiculously high, and we know the deaths are an undercount. We know that the actual number is much higher. Real quickly, before we end this for today, taking a look at some International data. Japan cases are down 32%. Taiwan cases are down 22%. It's coming up here with United States down 55%. Russia up 30%. Brazil up 3%. Austria up 11%. And Poland is up 44%. Ecuador is up 495%, 4,571 cases in the last 7 days. The preceding 7 days, 768. So that's one we're going to have to watch. Alrighty, that does it for today's pandemic update. If you like the content I do on my channel, whether it be pandemic-related news, weather and climate-related news, or the news segments that I've been doing with things that aren't getting enough attention in the media, hit the like and subscribe button down below. Helps me grow the channel. And with that note, stay safe, everyone. We'll see you again next time for another pandemic update.